fucking world.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 2A Brotherhood podcast. We are so grateful to have you guys here. I'm back. It's been a while since I've been on, but I've been on a little hiatus. But but thank you for bearing with these gentlemen without my tech support. I'm just kidding. We have a very special guest, Cara Conry, with us from Mantis Tech. And you met her on TikTok, right, Dimitri?
No, on Instagram,
Oh,
TikTok.
okay,
Yeah, we're done with TikTok. We can't.
okay, okay.
So,
So
the,
Cara, if
After
you
the 12th
go ahead.
ban.
Listen, Cara, you can take the floor and do a little introduction. Tell us where we can find any information about your company, any social media pages, anything at all. But the floor is yours.
Sure. So I am Cara Conry. I do product education and training and a lot of different stuff for Mantis. Um, we're at mantisx.com. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. Those are our two biggies. We're building out our YouTube. We've been kind of slow at that, but we're starting to gain some traction on a YouTube page. But we build dry fire products. Well, not just dry fire products. Some of them are live fire, but they are products to help shooters get better. That we truly believe that if you use our product, you will see improvement. And so that's what we do. We stand behind that, and we basically have brought the technology world into the gun world, and that's kind of where we started out. So I've been with Mantis for 2 years, doing, like I said, the crux of what I do is try to be the conduit between the instructor world and Mantis. I've also worked to help engage people more because we have an app. We store lots of data, and if you are not tech savvy, it can be overwhelming. And so I kind of tried to break that down and break down some barriers and help that be easier for people through a program called Mastermind. So yeah, that's what I do. I love being out, meeting with people at shows, and just preaching what Mantis products do, because I've been a Mantis user since I think 2018. So you don't work for them unless you've really like used their product and know their product well. So that's what I do. On the side, I'm a firearms instructor. So I've been an instructor since 2018 in the Northwest Arkansas area. I have my own little business doing. I teach a lot of new people. I teach concealed carry, and I've got a few advanced students that I work with out of the holster and stuff like that. So I'm a training junkie. I love to go train. If I'm not teaching, I would rather be training. So I love being on the training circuit. I used to shoot competition. Don't have time anymore. I spend it teaching. So, but I love me some steel challenge. So super fun. So yeah, that's kind of where I come from, and I'm truly blessed because I'm working in the gun world, gun industry, and that's my hobby. And the stars all aligned in 2024 for it to be one thing. So it's super cool, super cool. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I was wondering, what made you want to get into guns and, firearms and.
Well, I grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, so whitetail
right.
deer hunting. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I ever touched a pistol though until 2012. I mean, rifles. I mean, I still have my original Daisy BB pump gun that I was given at 7 years old. It's sitting in the gun safe because it means that much to me. Because we would go around the farm and shoot birds and take care of vermin and all that stuff, and so that was just a part of life. I mean, you had the 22 sitting in the dining room because if you saw the groundhog or the raccoon digging They would ruin equipment and stuff. So you had no choice but to take care of that. So
Of
yeah, it was
course.
just part of life. So it was something I really enjoyed with my father. It was three of us kids, and I think I was the one that kind of took to the shooting portion. And
Hmm.
even after I had left the farm and moved away and got married, when we'd go home to visit, it wouldn't be, we'd go out on the porch and just plink pop cans. So just decided in 2012 I wanted to get my concealed carry, and we bought our handgun. And um, I went to school to be a teacher. I just never I was in corporate world for 22 years, and when I had more time on my hands, I realized I was like, hey, I love to teach. And so I went and got my NRA instructor license and started to teach, and so it's all kind of snowballed for there. And love to train just because I feel like that there's always something to learn. There's always something to learn, and learn and love to teach. So, and like I said, Mantis brings all that together because a lot of it has to do with education and helping people become better shooters. And that's
Hmm.
what I want to do. Deep down, that's why we instruct is we want to empower people to protect themselves because our lives all have value.
Hmm. So when Mantis started, what was the problem in the firearms training that led to the creation of the Mantis product?
Well, and I don't fully know this story, but
Hmm.
I do know that it involved understanding that, we have these things and they would track our steps and track, motion and data.
Hmm.
And literally the first thing that I understand they did is they actually strapped one of these to a gun to track motion. I think here's the deal that the owners of Mantis are incredibly creative people. I have never met a group of people who have ideas of just cutting edge stuff. And so they just decided, hey, this is a gap in the gun world is we can understand movement. If we can do it in other places, why can't we do it on a firearm? And that's kind of where it all started, I guess, in 2015. And it's kind of snowballed from there. So I don't know if there was a problem they were going after more than
Hmm.
curiosity, being overly curious of what would happen if we could track this.
Got you. Yeah, I always
So
thought it was the problem of the cost of ammo.
No, but I think it's helped solve some of that problem.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet it has.
I think
so
it's
what's
an accidental good thing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
so what led you? First of all, I've seen a ton of Mantis. I first saw you guys or heard about you guys through Alex Zedra.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Big supporter of you guys. I'm a big fan of hers. Um, what led you to working with Mantis? What got you into them and kind of favoring towards them and wanting to work with them?
Well, it's because I literally started using their product in 2018. So when I got serious
Okay.
about my own training, I started being a concealed carrier in 2017. I was doing real estate on the side, and if you know anything about the real estate profession, it's one of the top 10 most dangerous professions in the United States. And so I got serious about carrying a gun. And if we know that we got to carry a gun, we've got to get that gun out quickly. And so I realized through other people and friends of mine that, hey, dry fire is something we need to look at. And I'm a data junkie. I mean, I worked in the corporate world for 22 and a half years I went to school to be a teacher, but I did tech stuff and I really love data. And so when I saw the Mantis product, I was like, oh my gosh, this is for me because I can quantify everything with the Mantis product. It is emotionless. It tells me I can't dispute it.
Hmm.
So when you're talking accelerometers and gyroscopes, they don't lie. And so you truly understand and see what's happening when you can't see it with your naked eye. Even before even now we have optics, we're watching that reticle move around. And I don't know, about you guys, but you start using a dot and people like your gun moves more. No, it doesn't move more. It just tells you more information because it's more finite. Um,
Hmm.
and I loved seeing that motion, because I was still running iron sights, which are, pretty large and you don't see as much motion. But it helped me. I like working with the goal, and a lot of people need to understand where they're at to know where to go. And I think that's what Mantis helps you with is you can sit and put holes in a target, and it really doesn't tell you anything, especially once you get to be a better shooter. It's is what are we accomplishing by putting holes in the same hole? Because there's still movement in the gun, and it's understanding that movement that will make you a better shooter at 15 yards, at 25 yards, or further. And so I think it's just it drew me in because of that. And then when I was a terrible real estate agent. I just wasn't very good at it. I'm not a pushy person. And
Mhm.
so I was like, okay, the jobs were kind of hard to come by. And so I was like, I wonder if Mantis is looking for people. And I went out and basically it said, send us an email. They don't post jobs. They literally say, send us an email. I'm like, okay, send them an email and had some communications with the owner. And honestly, I had a 1 45-minute phone call and basically still didn't know if they had a job, but they're like, hey, we don't just hire people without getting to meet you and understanding you. And so my interview was essentially at SHOT Show. They were like, do you want to
Oh,
come to SHOT Show and work our booth? And I'm like, who's going to say no to that? I mean, who's
Right.
going to say
exactly.
no to a product that you love? And so, yeah, I mean, it is a family. It's an incredible company. And again, what is hard for me coming from a very structured corporate world to a company that truly is passionate about hearing everybody's opinions and going, if we feel like there's something out there, we're going to go for it. We don't, there's no, like, no hard ROI and numbers and stuff like that. So it's really refreshing. But, I think it was all just I think it was meant to be. It was just one of those
Mhm.
things that the things aligned and, I had
Mhm.
done my time in real estate and it was time to find something else. And Mantis saw something in me because I thought I would do customer support or all my tech support stuff. And they're like, no, we want you to educate. You've got an education background. They saw my CV and all the training that I've spent, endless amounts of money and hours on in the firearms industry. And so yeah, it's refreshing, and yet it was hard at the same time jumping into a job like this. So it's
Mhm.
pretty cool. So no, I love it. And like I said, I use their product. So
Yeah,
Have
that's
Have you
that's
ever had
definitely
to
a
Have you ever had to draw your gun being a real estate agent?
no, the closest I came to doing anything, and I'm a big proponent of carrying pepper spray in your pocket
Mhm.
because Chuck Haggard, the classic Chuck Haggard says it's the best thing between a harsh word and a gun. So that pepper spray will take care of all of this, where the gun will
Mhm.
only take care of this. And so
Mhm.
the closest I came is I had my pepper spray in my hand as I was showing a house because there was a dog on the other side of a rickety wooden fence, and that fence was like
oh
I
no,
was waiting for
no,
that
no,
fence to
no.
come down and if you don't know, pepper spray works very effective on dogs, but I've never
Mhm.
had to
Hmm.
use it, but it was in my hand at that point. But that's probably the most scared I've been. But I have shown some pretty rough houses. If anybody's familiar with southern Missouri, southwest Missouri, there some counties have a higher concentration of meth, and so I was
Mm.
licensed in Missouri, and so there was some pretty scary places I went,
Mhm.
and I don't know how people don't do it carrying a gun. I mean, you could just disappear out there and nobody would know you're gone. No cell coverage in some places. Um, it definitely made me more aware of how important it is that we keep our guard up and we look for things and we understand and we let people know where we're going and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So, but no, never had to pull my gun. I don't ever want to. Please, I
Yeah,
don't ever want to pull
exactly.
my
Yeah,
gun.
I don't think nobody does. You know.
No.
Yeah, no one ever wants to pull her. I mean, but that's my big thing is like you never know when you have to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's something I was
Tom
explaining to
Tom
my
Gibbons
wife.
says, I mean, it's not on the calendar. It's not in the
Right.
calendar for you to know. The criminal knows, but he's not going to
Yeah,
let you know until the last minute.
Yeah.
So,
They
yeah,
usually have the
yeah.
drop on you when you know what I mean.
Exactly.
yeah.
But that
Yep.
comes into being prepared, and that's a really great thing that Mantis is doing is helping you be prepared without spending thousands of dollars in ammo. And that's something I was kind of explaining to my wife. We talked about in our last episode that we did recently. There was a shooting at a mall where a guy was getting
Hmm.
attacked by several people, and he pulled his gun, and they started wrestling over it, you know. And if that guy maybe had just a little bit more training on drawing and getting on target, you know, or any type of training, he would have been able to handle that situation a little better. And so I think that what you guys are doing is awesome with being able to draw and get on target and you know, get your sights lined up, and gives tips, from what I understand, gives tips onto
Mm-hmm.
how to adjust and get better.
Correct. Yeah. So our products kind of do a couple of different things. So one of them is it will tell you how well your trigger control is. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens in the last 150 milliseconds prior to that sear dropping on the gun. So it's that it ultimately tells you where's the bullet going to go. And so we give you, you know, it's loosely based on kind of the pistol correction charts that have been out there. It's a little different, and it's something that you know, we're constantly assessing and looking at. But for a new shooter, if they have no instructor they're working with, it gives them some guidance. You know, on a more advanced shooter, I think we can be curious of ourselves and look at the data, look at the actual, here's the muzzle movement. Okay, what might be causing me to do that? Whereas a brand new shooter has got so much to think about, they may not be able to identify and think through that. You know, I always tell people slow-mo video is a beautiful thing for self-diagnostic. So, you know, Mantis, we can tell you how that gun moves, but it might take you being more curious and understanding why that happens. You know, we can give you the standard answers, but I find as an instructor, it's there's not one standard per person. You can say, well, you're anticipating. Well, that means one thing to one person, another to another. You might have somebody who's pushing low left because they've got arthritis in their hands. It might not have anything to do with anticipation. So I think, you know, there's some guidance to it, and that is helpful, especially for the beginner shooter. But as we progress on our journey, I think we have to be more introspective and be more self-diagnostic, because we all are different people. I mean, my hands are not the same as your hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your hands are not the same as each other. We're very, very different. So that's one thing about the product. So we do that analysis on the trigger. But if you have an X10, we can also work in live fire. So you can look at live fire and go, how's my trigger control in live fire versus dry fire? And there tends to be a chasm between live fire and dry fire. And I kind of went down a rabbit hole last summer on this, because there shouldn't be a difference. But yet we tend to not grip the gun as hard in dry fire. We tend to not press the trigger like we would press it in live fire. And so um, I challenge people, if you buy our product, an X3 or an X10, get out to the range and put it on your gun in live fire, to look at your trigger control in live fire, and then work on those things in dry fire to bring those scores, so you are scoring live fire and dry fire together. Exactly. Yep, that's the X10 Elite. Um, so that's one thing it does. It looks at trigger control. But the X10 Elite will do also in live fire, you can measure recoil. So we have a lot of subcompacts coming out on the market, and I will be the first person to tell you I'm a self-professed HK snob. Okay, they just released the VP9CC, so I am curious to know, because the
Nice.
VP9 or the CC9 I think is one of the softest shooting subcompacts on the market, and I've done a little bit of research, and you know, it's as scientific as I can get holding the gun, thinking I'm holding it similar between like a 365, a Hellcat, and a CC9. My X10 can give me objective recoil data between those three guns to say which one is a softer recoiling gun based on data. And so I'm curious to know, okay, where does the VP9CC fall in that mix? So I think if people are deciding between a gun, you can put that X10 on two different guns, run your grip, run your trigger press, and you'll see objective data on the recoil. So that's one drill you get with the X10. So that is not looking at your trigger control. It's looking at only recoil metrics. What's your recovery time? How much does your muzzle rise? How much do you veer to the right and the left when you recoil? Things like that. Then you
Wow.
have the X10 does holster draw analysis. So instead of looking at shot score or recoil, from the beep to the shot, how was your draw? How much time did you spend reacting to the beep? How long did you spend pulling up? How long did it take you to rotate, push out, and press the shot off? I mean, yeah, you can look at that on video all day, but where can you get that breakdown of time to know, hey, I average zero point 0.3 from the draw to the grip. I know I need to shave another another tenth or half, a hundredth, 500ths off of it. You don't get that anywhere else. So that's just what the X10 will do. But I think there's a lot to be learned in the Blackbeard X, which is our product that goes into the AR-10, AR-15, some other rifle variants, and our Titan X. So y'all familiar with the Titan X that we released in November? So it is a substantially similar to Glock models right now, but we have other models coming. X10 is inside of it. Circuits on the trigger, so we know exactly when the trigger is pressed. We have a circuit on the magazine so we can track reload. So how long was the magazine out of the gun? How long was your split time? What you can do with these, you can do the trigger score. You can do the trigger control. But this, you can run dynamics. So do you guys only shoot at one target when you're practicing? No. You want to understand how well do you transition between targets. When you get to a target, how well do you transition? Do you transition a straight line or do you curve? You know, best way to transition between targets is a straight line. Do you over travel? And how long do you delay because of that over travel before you get your shot off when you get on target? So think about, doing house clearing or doing movement. That this, as long as it stays within Bluetooth range of your the app on your phone, it'll capture all that from shot to shot to shot. And so you're getting a lot of different data sets out there within the Mantis product. So yeah, I could go on forever about it, but it's not just about shot score. That is just one small piece we provide. We're constantly understanding more and more things that we can bring you by understanding movement of the gun. It's not just muzzle movement.
Yeah, one of the questions that I was gonna ask is if you could put an optic on what that was the X10 you said it was?
No, this is the Titan X.
The
So
Titan X, yes.
it's very substantially similar. We have three models. We have a similar to a Glock 17, similar to a Glock 19, and similar to a Glock 45. We're working on VP9. We're working on a couple of SIGs, so like the 365 variants, a 320. Working on probably an M&P 2.0. We're working on Walthers. So we're building some other ones of these. Obviously we had to go Glock first because law enforcement, very heavy in that. And we want to support our law enforcement. We want to support military. So yes, the Titan is optic ready, RMR, RMS, RMSC. So you can throw an optic on it. The trigger feels like a stock Glock trigger. You can put Glock magazines in this. They'll actually accept OEM magazines in it as well, working Glock holsters. And any model that we're going to do further will, again, be very substantially similar to the gun that it's modeled after.
That's awesome.
So it'll take my extendos.
Say that again. Yeah, you can put your stendos in it. Sure you
I
can.
can put my extendos in. No, that's all really cool because one thing I've always noticed talking about Mantis or anything, especially talking with experienced shooters, very well advanced shooters, and you had brought it up about beginner and advanced, is a lot of the people that are what you would consider advanced shooters never really saw the need for Mantis. They kind of know how to feel out certain things, but it sounds like there's a lot of really great information for even advanced shooters or competition shooters that are doing this every day.
Sure, and we hear it. I hear it. I mean, I train with people who I've got friends I train with who go, but you can read your sights. I'm like, but did you read your sights right away when you became a shooter? We got to gain that knowledge to be able to do those things. Plus, it's going to pick up motion you never see. It's going to pick up motion, and it quantifies it with time. So yes, you can video yourself. I mean, there's timers out there that you can video, and it'll display the time. But to break it down into the chunks that it's broken into on the app that you can look at immediately, I think there's value there. And that's okay if somebody feels like they can do it on their own. fine, that's great, but don't downplay a product that could help people get to be better shooters, because we're not all. I am not a class level competition shooter, well, except for in Steel Challenge. I mean, I can claim that, but
There you go.
the fact is we all start a journey somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If we're starting from LA and going to New York, we all got to somehow get there. It's just some people are already in New York, but don't take the map away from the people who are still in LA. Give them
Yeah.
the map. Let them learn through their own methods.
Well, I think any information that could benefit you into seeing what you're possibly blind to, like you were talking about, um, uh, going from one target to another. Like I
Hmm.
tend to go past, and I've noticed that, and it's something I work on. But I've noticed I do go past the target a little bit, and then I correct, and stuff like that. Like I wasn't noticing at first until it was something I was really looking at, and it sounds like this is something that could really tell me. And any information that could benefit you really is information worth having, especially when it comes to your life and self defense,
Right.
and other
And
people's
it
lives.
and it's not just going to show you the motion, but it will actually tell you how much time did you waste in
Hmm.
that over travel and delay on target.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, any information that will help you with that is information worth having, in my opinion.
The,
100%, I agree.
I think it would be cool if Mantis had like a competition with just their products and just use the products, you know.
Well, you can do that. So in the app, so with the products I spoke about, we also have Laser Academy, which is, it captures the shot on the target, but it doesn't necessarily tell you anything. But
Mhm.
focusing on the products that capture the motion, our app has a groups function. So you guys could create your own group for your podcast. You could tell
Mhm.
your podcast audience to join that group. You could set up, so for those who own mantises, you could set up a drill of the week and set a goal and actually track your audience who participate in that and go and
Wow.
actually look at their data. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know, are any of you instructors or not just
no,
junkies?
just junkies. We
Like,
like
So
it.
but
yeah.
the fact is, even if you're an
Fanatic.
instructor and you're doing remote lessons, you can
Hmm.
look at objective data even though you have the video of the person and put that together. But yeah, we
Yeah.
tell ranges, hey, run competitions with it.
Mhm.
Because even if you set one of these up at the range, because a
Mhm.
lot of ranges will have one out as a demo. You could set it
Hmm.
up and say, hey, take 10, here's this drill, run the 10 shots, and the person who scores the best in the least amount of time this week, you'll get a $10 gift card or something like that. So
Mhm.
that is built into the app already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
so
what's
the
a
Titan X is just the motion aspect of it. There is no laser sight
Oh,
in
no,
that
no,
one.
there's a laser. So a Titan's going to give
Okay.
you the laser. So there's a laser resetting trigger. I
Okay.
have seen splits run as low as 0.12 on this. So
Mm,
you're really not going to outrun it split wise.
mm,
I don't know if Rob Latham can outrun it with split
mm.
times. But no, it gives you all the motion. It gives you a laser. So
Okay.
it does it all for a $200 price point. So it's an
so
So
incredible price
let.
point. If you're looking at buying a practice gun, I mean,
Hmm.
it's really an incredible price.
so my
So
question
if
with it is
hold on one second, Austin. So if I set up targets, like let's say in my basement, if I set up targets and I have my phone videotaping the whole time,
Uh-huh.
it will track my motion.
Yep.
It will give me a time,
Yep.
and if it's in camera range, it would list where my shots were on the targets.
If you use our Laser Academy targets, so these are smart targets, they got QR codes. So
Uh
if
huh.
you point your camera at this, it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to pick up you shooting. What it's going to do is identify the shots on target
Mhm.
and show
Got
you
you.
where your hits were and score your target. So you could have
Mm-hmm.
multiple of these as long as it's in the camera view. It will
Okay.
it will pick these up and score them, and you can download these for free from our
Mm-hmm.
website.
oh
So
wow.
if
Okay.
so if you buy one of these, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
go buy our targets. You can go download it. You'll enable the camera function in our app, and you get the laser hits as well on target as long as the targets are within your camera view. And there's a whole setup to that, but it's very, very
Okay.
simple.
Is
So
it like a whole distance away? Does it
It,
matter the distance or?
as long as it can is close enough that it can read the 4 QR codes on the targets. So
Got you.
like
Okay.
these are 5x7s. So I
Mm-hmm.
like the smaller targets because it's easier to set the smaller targets and get them within camera view. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but and you can and if you print them out, you can scale them. So I mean, you could do half sheet scale, you could do quarter sheet scale, and just cut them apart. So as
Okay.
long as you can fit them within the camera window, it gives you a boundary that you have to have them put in.
Got you. Okay.
Um, so you're talking more static, but you could still spread them apart maybe 3 feet and have your camera back and still do some
Mm-hmm.
target transitions with them. And it'll capture your shots on all 3 targets.
okay.
Okay.
So my question is, you had mentioned that you guys have a G17, a G19. You're working on the 365, the 320.
Yep.
I carry a
hmm
G19, right?
Yep. We
I
have a
know a couple.
G19.
I know a couple people that carry G17s.
Yep.
Um, if I was say I was to get this right,
hmm
what would be the transition of if I train with this to then real worlds with my G19?
Okay.
Is there like a big transition difference? Like if I start working on my draw, is it gonna feel different with my grip? Like what would be the transition difference that I would
It
have to look
should, the
out for?
dimensions and everything are very, very substantially
Okay.
similar. Okay.
So you
Um,
shouldn't have to worry about too much of a transition difference
no,
in terms of
it is a
that.
little bit lighter. Now the
Okay.
magazines are weighted, but it is a little bit lighter than a loaded 19 would be in your
hmm
case.
Mm-hmm.
But your trigger, as long as you have not put an aftermarket trigger in, the trigger should be feel very similar. We literally have a trigger bar in here, so it has that
Mm.
definite wall and press. It's
hmm
got the safety blade, so that should feel
Oh
very
wow.
similar.
Mm-hmm.
We put that on specifically. The safety blade actually works, like the trigger won't go off if the blade is not engaged. So
Okay.
um,
Wow.
That's awesome.
especially if you are running a 17, a 19, or a 45, it's going to feel very, very similar. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
it's going to have a plasticky feel. The stippling is a
hmm
little bit different. We had to stipple it different. We had to knock off like the front. So it's marginally different. It's mostly cosmetically different
hmm
to the Glock that it's modeled after.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that was because that's something that I've always like wondered about when with products like that. Like you see the yellow guns, like the fake yellow ones.
yep, yep,
You know, it doesn't feel exactly the same. And
right.
so finding something that will help you with taking that to real world scenarios is honestly it's really awesome. So
Absolutely. So, I mean, I would tell you, most of the bigger range or gun shops have these out, so you should be able to get a demo to feel it. If you're at
okay,
NRA this
Mm.
next week, we will have them out demoed at NRA. So,
hmm
that's a good time for people to try them too.
yeah. Um, so in terms of like someone that maybe is getting into shooting, right, and getting into training, maybe has just got their concealed carry license and wants to, be comfortable with going out knowing they can draw their weapon and shoot and get on target. What would be the product that you think would be the best fit for them to just get into to try? You know.
I would say it depends upon what their actual gun is. Um, So to me, because I use a VP9, the Glocks feel very different. So I
Mm-hmm.
tend to still navigate towards the X10 because it's more universal. So the X10 allows me to train with my actual firearm. So this is a training gun. So
Okay.
I have 4 VP9s. I have a carry gun, I have a training gun, I have a dry fire gun. So this is my dry fire gun,
Don't we
and then
all
my
want to
husband
get there
has
that
one.
day?
What's
Mm-hmm.
that?
Don't we all want to get to that point where we have
Well, I,
multiple of
I
the
do
same
that
one?
because I felt very passionate that I wanted to train with the same gun I carried,
hmm
Mm.
and I did not want to uh, compromise safety. So I
Yeah.
felt the
Yeah.
money to spend on my concealed carry gun to buy an exact replica. I did that. So I had 2 of them for a while. And then I have a dedicated training magazine. So on our website, so this is the X10 product right here. It's just this little
Mm-hmm.
unit. So we can go on a Picatinny rail of a gun. And if you don't have a Picatinny rail, it comes with a piece of universal rail that is on 3M tape that you can stick to the bottom of your mag.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Hmm.
better, we sell base plate replacements. So this is an actual
Nice.
molded base plate for a VP9 with a Picatinny rail on it. And so what I do is this is my training mag. And so I have a tap rack trainer. So if you're familiar with those allow you to rack the gun without the slide lock staying open. So it
Hmm.
fools the gun into staying like there's bullets in it. And then I personally put weighted dummy rounds in my mag because I want to replicate as close as I can. I find a lot of people in dry fire don't grip as hard because the gun is not as heavy because they
Hmm.
generally dry fire with no mag or an empty mag. And
Mhm.
so I run a weighted dummy rounds, weighted 9mm dummy rounds in my mag, and then I press my tap rack trainer. So it's downloaded by like 2 bullets, and
Mm-hmm.
my tap rack trainer allows it to rack, and my bullets don't pop out. So and because it's on my mag, I can practice my holster draw without having a special holster. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I do my setup. But and again, that you don't need to. You can mount your X10 on the Picatinny rail. Um, if you're going to draw, though, you're going to really need to have it on your magazine. But we give you the piece of Picatinny rail with 3M tape with the X10 unit. So we try to equip you with what you need to start out. And the beauty of our products is you buy the hardware, the software is free. So
Mhm.
you
Hmm.
buy an X10, you download the app, lifetime updates for free.
Wow.
You
Okay.
buy one, Dimitri, and you want to let somebody else borrow it, they can
Hmm.
borrow it, download the app, sign in as them, and it doesn't commingle with your data. This is agnostic until it's
Hmm.
Bluetooth connected to the device. Same thing with the Titan. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Laser Academy is the one that if you buy a kit, it's going to come with a product access code, but you can
Hmm.
go and pay one time for Laser Academy, the app, and
Hmm.
and own it lifetime. So we are not fans of subscriptions
Yeah,
at
that's what I was
all.
about to
So
say. You guys are probably the only business out there that hasn't went to subscription
it's
based.
a challenge. It's really a challenge because so much of any industry has gone to subscription based just to have that income flow. But the owners really feel like that is people don't like that. And we don't like to we feel like
Yeah.
we're being nickel and dimed. And so
Hmm.
so yeah, you're gonna pay once, you're gonna cry once. But once you own it, you own it. So
Yeah. So what? One of the questions I was going to ask you is, did you guys offer a different holster with the X10 on it? But then you said you could put it on your mag, which takes care of that.
exactly. It will fit in some light bearing holsters, so you could
Hmm.
get a light bearing holster and it'll fit, but I personally would do the magazine. I find it's just more convenient. You can run your exact carry setup if you put it on the magazine.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is
No.
answering. So I've seen Mantis for so long on Instagram, and I've been going back and forth, and this is answering a lot of questions and concerns that I had. To me, it seems like the only thing that you would have to switch up when you actually go shoot is just the actual recoil of the gun.
Yep. And if you think about it, your fundamentals don't require recoil. Recoil happens after the trigger press.
Hmm.
So what you're doing, what you're feeding, inputting into the gun, all happens pre and during trigger press. Recoil it's a split second, but it is after trigger press. So you can work on those fundamentals. And so and, you gave me a few questions, and is dry fire is it a realistic comparison to live
Hmm.
fire? And no, it's not. You don't have recoil, but I think you can make your biggest gains in dry fire because you can focus on the process, whereas at the range, your brain has this looming recoil coming. And
Hmm.
I think you can start to work through that in dry fire and work on your fundamental techniques. so that you can execute them in live fire. Recoil comes after the trigger press. So it really is a separate function from the preparing and pressing off the shot.
Yeah. And it sounds like you could even work through the recoil with the live fire training.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. So that is the benefit of the X10 over the Titan, because Titan is dry fire only.
Yeah.
But if you buy an X3, so X3 is dry fire and live fire, but the X10 will do the holster draw, the recoil meter, so it's got a little more technology in it. And we have an upgrade program because we have a lot of people who will buy an X2 or an X3 and then wish they had bought an X10. And so we have an upgrade. You send us your device and we give you so much off towards upgrading to the next level. So when we go to shows and stuff, we really try to show the value in the X10 with the recoil meter and holster draw. Even if you're not there yet, that if you progress in your journey, you'll probably start to see value in that.
That's awesome. Now, on a serious note, will Mantis help me with my journey to curve the bullet?
A journey to what?
Curve the bullet.
Hurt the bullet?
Not to curve it.
Oh, to curve it. No, I don't think we quite have that technology yet.
Well, when you guys get that technology, let me know. All right. You lost me there.
That's that where you pick it and you're going, go this way, right?
Yeah, you were talking about, how you move and where you're going on target and trigger pull and everything. I figured with all that, you guys could tell me how to curve the bullet, but I guess not.
No. It's a linear thing. I hate to tell you, it's linear. So.
Yeah, maybe can you let the owners know, like, that's something they can work on, project.
Sure. You need a little more curveball on this or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
You need a panic attack. You need a panic attack, and then there you can do it. That's the best time.
For sure. Now I do want to address the elephant in the room for dry fire. So what do you think, beyond recoil, what's the biggest problem with using our firearm in dry fire? You gotta rack the slide.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, but that's going to be a training scar. I have yet to go to the range and do this each time because it's such a different experience. But I also think there's benefit for us racking the slide because we really learn how to quickly rack that slide. And if we get into a spot where we're trying to defend our life and we've got a malfunction, what do we got to do? We got to rack that slide hard and fast and quick and get back in the fight. I'm not even a tapper. So, I mean, you want to throw up a can of worms. I'm not a tap. I'm a rack because the tap is administrative. I make sure my magazine is in. And because I run the fabulous VP9, I don't have a button that I don't accidentally hit. So I don't tap. I'm just a rack and get back into the game.
Did it take you a little bit to get used to the mag release on?
Absolutely, it took me a little bit to get used to the paddle, and I don't have long thumbs, so a VP9's ambi, so you got the paddle on both sides, and I can't reach it from this side. So, and I have some damage to my index finger, so I can't even come down and reliably get it here. So I actually come up with my second finger, and that's how I do my mag changes. So, but now that I've done it, that I don't like buttons because you can't accidentally hit it. And I've just gotten used to it. And so that's the one intriguing thing about the VP9CC because it has the German paddle release on it.
Yeah. That was made for the German police, right?
I think so. It's based off like the USF, was it UFS or I don't know the German side of it, but it's the German version. It's basically a shrunk down VP9, but it sounds like, when HK developed the CC9, it was engineers here in the US and they really worked on mitigating that recoil. I took it wasn't an armorer's class. It was I took a class with them on the CC9 and they explained, the whole recoil thing. And so I don't know, like I said, I want to get objective data. I can't wait to put a Mantis on a VP9CC and compare it to the recoil that I have measured with the CC9. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no other product on the market that can do that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we even at one show, we've given, because HK come over and they took one of these, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, we're going to work on some objective data with, you know, some kind of jig that they
Yeah.
can hold the gun the same. Like, it's me, I might be holding it different because the
Mm-hmm.
grip's a little bit different between them. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah.
so, you know, I wanted to address that because a lot of people go, but I want to rack my slide every time. Okay, if you don't, then that's where this comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I don't think racking your slide every time is a bad thing. Just like I would tell you, you shouldn't press your trigger completely every time in dry fire either.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, we should come out from the holster and go to low ready sometimes. We should come out and maybe we're at the wall of the trigger, but we don't have the decision to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to be really creative with our dry fire, whether we're using a Mantis or not, to ensure that we don't train one way only.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, don't train that we're 2 yards from the target. Everything. I mean, I've got targets a yard from me, 2 yards from me, but I have put sticky notes on the other side of the house. I have a big long hallway where I am shooting at probably 12 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And so you switch it up, be creative because your data might show different closer
Yeah.
target versus longer target. That's
Mm-hmm.
all things to investigate.
My other kind of concern that I've heard about the like dry firing situation is the trigger reset. You know how after like that trigger reset is shorter, and when you have to pull off the trigger, rack the slide, kind of going back into the rack and the slide. But
Right.
again, it sounds like the Titan will is fixing that, and it sounds like doing live fire training with the X10 also fixes that. You know, so
Correct.
it's like you guys are really
Correct. And
thinking of everything to, you know, kind of combat these issues that people are kind of
right.
creating for the dry firing scenarios.
Yeah, the Titan is really a game changer because you can literally run drills at home. So you can take any
Yeah.
drill, you could set up the course of fire, you know, if it's one course of fire or 5 courses of fire, you can set that up multiple ways using a Titan. You can look at shot score with your muzzle movement, or you can look at how well did if you had target transitions, even if it's from a chest box to the head box, it will measure that transition for you. So there's 3 ways you can run a build drill using a Titan. And so that's one of the things that I'm getting ready to teach a class out at the A Girl and a Gun conference is we're going to look at why would I want to run a build drill 3 different ways? Well, it's because you get 3 distinct sets of data through the Mantis device, depending upon how you set it up. So, and you know, we have this for the pistol, but do you guys shoot ARs? You like
Yep.
your ARs?
Oh yeah.
We have a product, it's called the Blackbeard X. So if you've heard of the
Mm-hmm.
Blackbeard X, you take your bolt and your charging handle out, replace it with our bolt carrier group and our 20-round magazine, and you have turned your AR into a dry fire tool like the Titan, except it is your trigger press and your trigger reset. And you get all of the data because you connect that 20-round magazine and it gives
Mm-hmm.
all the motion data into the app. So it goes beyond pistol. So we've got Army and Marines using that at certain facilities to train our troops, and they have seen a huge difference on the speed on getting people up to speed on rifle training because of the Blackbeard X product. So some of them, there's the option of just getting a Blackbeard. That's the shorter 10-round mag. That just resets your trigger and gives you a laser. But the Blackbeard X, the longer mag, gives you the motion data as well. So you get a laser, you get a resetting trigger, and you get all the same Mantis data we've been talking about.
Wow.
So lots of different forays we've kind of moved into, and we're just getting ready to release the AK version of that. So we'll have the AK 47 and 74. I don't have a release date, but it's close. And we're working on a like a simulator product. So I don't know if you were at SHOT Show, but we demoed at SHOT Show a consumer level simulator product that you can run using your phone or tablet and a projector, and it
Wow.
will, you could use your Titan with it, and it's going to pick up the laser hits, and it's interactive targets. So like moving targets, dueling trees, you can build your own USPSA stages and run your own stages and things like that at a very consumer friendly price point. So not stuff that, yes, law enforcement stuff could use this, but it's really more tailored to that consumer level. So that's a product we're working on as well. So we're really kind of pushing the boundaries. Is we're not trying to just make our current products better, but we're trying to get more products out there for what people are looking for.
Yeah, that this is awesome, by the way. Like uh, every single accomplished shooter that we've had on this podcast, from grandmasters to just regular masters to class A's, they all emphasize on dry fire, dry fire, dry fire, dry fire. Every single one of them. Hey, how can I get better? Dry fire. And this whole thing is the Mantis just sounds amazing. It's taking care of so many different like concerns, issues people have, and it gives you the data for you to become a better shooter. It sounds like.
Right. And to some people it gamifies it because there's streaks, you can, I know one of our gals within Mantis, she is almost to 2 years or above 2 years where she is dry fired every single day. And so it
Yeah.
quantifies that for you. But I would tell people, you can dry fire without our products and become a better shooter. It takes more effort on your part, though, because you are having to dig in and understand what's going on and diagnose yourself, whereas our products kind of help guide you on that. So it's,
Mm.
and again, for those people who are like, well, I can see what's happening and stuff, great. Um, but I would, don't poo-poo the product if it's helping a certain set of population. So, and we all have personal preferences. So, I don't dislike my friends just because they don't feel like a mantis value is value to them. It's just, we need to make something that we all are on this journey and we all have to learn how to get there. I mean, I'm a pretty good shooter, but is it easy to read my sights? No. I still have to work at it when I'm at the range to go, okay, I saw my dot lift from here, so I know that's where my bullet is and calling my shots. That is a hard skill to learn. That is a skill that very few shooters can actually do well. I mean, unless you're like a Riley Bowman or a Tim Herron or people like that, reliably reading your shots all the time is a skill that is just not there, especially if you're on the journey from Los Angeles to New York. If you haven't gotten to Chicago yet, you're probably not reading your sights. So, and that is Kara's personal opinion. I really didn't focus on trying to read my sights until a couple of years ago, and that's way into my shooting journey. So,
Yeah.
Mm.
but I think, if somebody wants to try dry fire, it's not an hour a day. It's not, you can hurt yourself in dry fire if you do too much of it. You can actually get tendonitis, so on and so forth. I tell people just start out with 10 or 15 minutes a day, do 3 or 4 days a week. You know, do a little engagement for a day, take a break, do the next day, because it actually helps you with your learning process too. I know some people dry fire every single day for 15 minutes. Great. But start somewhere. And if you want,
Yeah.
some people are like, well, how do I get started? Find a habit that you already have. That is a set habit. And do it either on front of that habit or behind that habit. Link those habits. That comes from Atomic Habits, a great book to read. Um, Even though I don't do the best at applying the stuff, that's it's just start out. Just start. That's the key, is start, and it doesn't have to be this grand process. It can
Yeah.
be, 10 or 15 minutes a day, 3 or 4 days a week. But here's the important thing is you got to practice with purpose. So you
Yeah.
shouldn't dry fire while you're listening to this podcast. You shouldn't dry
Mm.
fire while watching TV or uh, trying to help your kids with homework. You need to really focus on the task, because if you're practicing and mindlessly practicing, you're not focusing on the skills, and you will actually practice the wrong stuff. And that's what's going to build in. I mean, we know it's not muscle memory, it's called myelination. It's how our nerves fire, and get data quicker. So practice with purpose. If you can't practice with purpose an hour a day, that's fine. Just find a little chunk. So,
Yeah.
and whether that's with Mantis or without Mantis, I'd encourage people to really try it. It really, dry fire, I will tell people, it's made me the shooter I am.
Yeah.
And like I said, I am
Yeah.
not a grandmaster by any stretch of the imagination, but I can hold my own.
Yeah. Well, it kind of comes down to a lot of people say practice makes perfect, but honestly, it's perfect practice makes perfect.
Perfect
So like you're,
practice makes perfect.
yep. So like you were saying, like you have to actually dedicate this time to this task, not just while you're listening to music or doing something else. It's while focusing, giving your all attention to this task, and just no matter what you're doing. But working with Mantis, I mean, it sounds like Mantis is just a great company overall. I mean, with what you guys are doing with allowing people to upgrade the products they buy, giving them
Right.
discounts if they send their stuff in, and the no subscription thing. My
Yeah.
daughter's games on my phone have subscriptions. It's
Right.
not just buy the game; it's a subscription now. It's like it's ridiculous. Everything is a subscription. So the fact that you guys are not doing that is awesome. So I mean, really, it sounds like if you are going to get into dry fire, this is a great company to work with and to give a try and do. And
It
all the
truly
products you
is.
guys are coming
And
out with to bypass all the stigma behind dry fire.
sure. And the one thing is, again, because it's very data laden, it's very data heavy, and it's an app. And, even I am Gen X. I am Gen X all day long. But even the newer generations, if it's not right there in the app, it can be hard for people. And so that's where the company had the vision to say we need to bridge that gap and get more education out there. And so one of the products I've built, what they brought me in to do, is we wanted to hook up with instructors more to have them understand how they could use it in their classes and such. But we found out a lot of people didn't fully know the extent of the product, just kind of like you guys. You didn't fully know the extent of the product. And so one of the
Yeah.
things that we released this past year, it's not a tangible product you buy, but you get to listen to me for about 8 hours as I go through every screen, every setting, every drill through the app, and walk you through in teeny tiny chunks, less than 15 minutes. It's self-paced learning. It has, we've had many people go through it and gosh, and go, I never realized what all it can do. And so that's something that's out there. So if you're like intimidated by, well, I like what it's going to do, but what if I get stuck, or I'm not comfortable using apps? We have that available as well. Yes, it's a cost. But again, we're not talking a subscription. It's $20. It's really just to put some skin in the game to say, because if you're given something for free, do you typically do it? No, you take it and you go, oh, this was cool, but do I really invest in it? If you put some money towards it, you're more chances of investing in it. And so, and plus we have to pay, to host the course and everything. So that's another thing that's out there. I don't want that to be left unsaid, but, we try to put our apps out there. So if you have a Mantis X product, whether that's an X10, a Titan X, or Blackbeard X, we've got a course for you if you're really struggling with the app. We're here to help. You get I do a call every week with anybody who's enrolled in that course. So I just spent an hour open mic. People jump on the call and ask questions about the app, but they also ask questions about, and we talked about holsters tonight because somebody had a question about carrying appendix in the waistband and what people used. And so it's just this little bit of a community that we're creating, to talk. It's about the app, but we're also linking people together to go, hey, or I'm stuck doing this drill and I can't get past. I want to score a higher score. How do I do that? So we talk through from training to equipment to the app, and then again, it comes with 8 hours of self-paced learning. So I just wanted to touch on that because that's really what Mantis brought me on to do, is to help educate and how to close the gap in the technology and
Hmm.
people using it out there.
Yeah,
Speaking of
technology.
holsters, real quick, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors. All right, if you guys are needing a holster to practice your dry firing with, or just everyday carrying, it's time to stop carrying in a wet paper bag. All right, you need to get something proper. And the only place to do that is Goliath Defense. Okay, they sell the best holsters on the market. Okay, great company to work with, and take care of all your problems if you have any. And then if you need a gun to put in that holster, there's only one place to go, and that's Cox Firearms. Get all your guns and gun accessories shipped to you or your FFL, and get it cheap. Use code 2AB and get 10% off both sites for your entire order.
Now that's a great transition right there, Austin.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That was
Austin.
beautiful. So, before we went live, you said you had something you wanted to talk about for the future with
Yeah.
Mantis.
So, and again, we're very passionate about people being better shooters, and we understand the value in training. And so we've been working on this for over a year. And so we are doing an initiative. We're calling it Train the World. And I know that might sound lofty, but we want to get partners in the industry and really help put the focus on training. And we're choosing the month of September, so September 2026. We are going to do some fun stuff. We're going to give away some money. So we're asking people whether you have Mantis or not. We're going to give you a way to register. Hey, I went to the range and I shot 100 shots at the range. You can go to our Train the World website and key that in September. We're going to pull all the numbers from Mantis. We're going to do some super fun stuff within the app. You know how passionate people can get about uh, like Miracle Whip versus Mayo, kind of thing. We're gonna do some challenges, and you can log your shots to one or the other each day. So it's going to be some fun, like voting that you do through how many shots you put through your training. But we're gonna try and get 10 million shots in the month of September, and a penny per shot up to I don't think we've announced fully the amount we're going to donate, but we're going to pick an amount and it's a penny per shot. And so what we're looking at right now, so if you're a listener and you know of a group that promotes training, whether that's say 4-H, Scouts, and it doesn't have to be a nonprofit, and it doesn't have to be youth related. We're going to kind of, where our focus is, can we fund organizations who are youth driven, maybe law enforcement driven, veteran driven, nonprofits, but we're not limiting to that. So if you go to traintheworld.org, you can say, hey, I want to fill out a grant form. So it does require you to fill out a grant form. So if you've got some kind of project you're looking to get funding for, some kind of program, go fill out a grant form. It's going to probably take you 30 minutes to fill out the grant form. We're going to ask you a lot of questions.
Hmm.
Those grants, we're going to accept them until May 31st, and then we're going to decide who's going to get awarded grants prior to September, so that then they're going to be encouraging, those organizations will also be encouraging, because the more shots we get, the more money that Mantis is going to donate. And so it's kind of a two-phase thing. So right now we're really looking for people who are going to join us in September. So like you guys, getting the word out, hey, get some training, go log that training in traintheworld.org, or use your Mantis device and we're going to count it automatically. But right now what we're looking for is are you interested in joining with us? We've got an interest form out on traintheworld.org. Even if you're just saying, hey, I want to be a shooter, include me on emails when this gets closer. Are you an influencer? Hey, we want your help. Fill out that. Or an organization, I'm interested in getting a grant. Fill that out as well. And the grant form is out there, so get those submitted. And we're giving away money. and we want to give it to, you've got all these national organizations, but how can we get it down to the local level? Well, it's doing podcasts and stuff like that with you guys,
Hmm.
who you've got listeners who are in small towns. And there might be some great organizations out there that just need some help, whether that's money. Maybe it's an organization that wants, 10 of these to run classes for some reason. Maybe you're looking for volunteers. We're looking for it's kind of open ended. So we just encourage you, if you think there's some out there, fill out a grant form. The worst we can say is no, but
Mm.
we would really love to get some local organizations that are pretty deserving to give some money to or give some product to. So if you know
Okay.
anything, please share the word. It's traintheworld.org, and then hopefully we'll talk about it closer to September then with you guys.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, of course you could come on here right before
Yeah,
then. I'm actually
definitely.
going. I just wrote that down. Yeah,
Yeah, traintheworld.org. So again,
train.
we've kind of just announced it starting at SHOT Show. We kind of met with people there, and we're really working to try and get the word out, and because it's really hard, because right now we're just trying to find these organizations, and then September is when we're really going to do the push to get out there and press the trigger or pull the bow back. I mean, because archery, that's a shooting sport, right? You can go
Hmm.
Hmm.
shoot clays, that's a shooting sport. All of those shots count.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was gonna mention. I was gonna ask you a little bit later on, but we could talk about it now since you brought it up. One of the pictures you sent me, there was a bow and arrow on it.
Hmm. So this is why the X10 is really our flagship product. So we talked about putting this on a pistol, but
Hmm.
you could put this on a rifle and get the same rifle scores. You can mount this on a bow, okay? We have a
Hmm.
separate app, and what it will do is it will track, it's an archery app, it will track the pullback, release to the unknocking of your arrow and tell you what's going on in those stages.
So where
Wow.
will that mount on a bow?
You just mount it, and I don't know technical terms for a bow, but there's like a little, you can get little pieces of Picatinny rail that mount into the screw holes that are up towards the the handle part of the bow.
Yeah.
Like I said, I am not an archer, so I
Me
apologize if
neither.
I'm not using the right terms. But
Heck
but
yeah. I'm gonna have
you
to
can,
check
and
that out.
it doesn't matter what direction, like it can be mounted, forwards, backwards. You tell it in the app what direction it's mounted
Oh,
based
okay.
on, like what
Hmm.
direction you're shooting, where your arrow's going, so that it knows where it's at in space and what direction it is.
I'm gonna
So
have
you
to
That's
can,
check that
awesome.
out.
yeah, and again, it's the app is free. You're just going to download the archery app and connect it. So this will be good for your pistol, your rifle, your bow. You can mount this to a shotgun, and we have a separate shotgun app. And what it does is it will track how well do you track your clays. So
Oh,
it
Crazy.
measures how well do you track to your targets. So this one little device does all of that. So it's the most
That's awesome.
universal device we have out there.
Y'all got something
that's
for
awesome to
everything.
hear.
Right.
We really
I'm
do.
I'm looking forward to the simulator because I want that right over there. Then I
You just
have
got me
no.
on. Look,
Well,
you
if
had
you're
me
going to be
before,
at
but you just got me on that archery
NRA annual
thing.
meeting next week, I
Mm.
heard rumors we're going to demo it there next week. So
Okay. Is
um,
that getting broadcasted anywhere?
I don't know, but there are videos out there from SHOT Show. So if you
Mm-hmm.
search on YouTube on Raven, you'll find
Mm-hmm.
some videos out there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had me before, but you just really got me on that archery thing
Yeah,
and the
That's
shotgun
and,
pretty
and
thing.
cool.
I tell you
and
what.
I am not
Right.
an archer at all, but we have a couple of people within Mantis who are, and they keep trying to teach it to me, and they keep saying, well, we need to write a mastermind course for the archery part. But yeah, no, it's used by some high level, archers. I mean, even our X10 is used, at the Olympic level as
Yeah.
well for air
Hmm.
rifle. So
So
um,
the shotgun, it could help me with shooting ducks too.
Well, I think if it does the clay thing. I don't know if anybody's done it doing hunting, but it's the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tracking
Yeah.
where did you come from prior to when you pressed the trigger, and how well did I don't know how it does it. Like I said, it's
Hey, there you
incredible what
go.
these engineers have come up with.
Mhm.
But it does. It's just a separate app for the shotgun. And when you buy the X10, we give you a barrel mount, so you get a barrel clamp with rubber shims, so that
Mhm.
you can mount it out on the barrel of your shotgun.
Hey, yeah,
Wow.
I think I need to look at that X10.
So yeah, it comes with all of that. And like I said, on our website, we sell an Archer mount. So it's a piece of Picatinny rail with a standard distance between the screw holes that you can mount on your bow. So
Yeah, I'll definitely
it,
have to check
Is
that
it
out.
waterproof or water resistant?
um, I, I don't know the answer to that. So I'm not going to say because I don't
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Um, I know I drop them and they still work. You know,
That's
I've
good.
accidentally dropped them. I mean, I've accidentally dropped my magazine with it on it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure. I would have to get back to you, or we have an FAQ on the website. So if you go to the
Mhm.
website and go to the bottom, there's an FAQ there. It might be in the FAQ.
Oh, okay.
Um, that I don't know.
So
I've not been asked that question before.
Mm.
so that what the Google says, it says the case is waterproof. It says specialized and rugged waterproof case are available for
Yeah, because
storing
it
and
comes with
transporting it.
it comes in a, it used to come in they used to sell it in a Pelican case,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but now it
Hmm.
comes in a zippered case.
Hmm.
And it's kind of a leather pleather zippered case, and it's got all of the stuff with it. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if that case is truly waterproof or not. I couldn't tell you. So,
Yeah, that's
uh,
what Google says, a Pelican case.
yeah, so they don't come with a Pelican case anymore,
Okay.
or at least the one to the consumer side. I don't know what we sell to the military to know if they get a different case or not.
Have you guys gotten any feedback from the law enforcement side and the military side?
Yeah, military, I forget what they said at Paris Island. I believe they said that it cut like 2 days off of training
Wow.
alone just
Nice.
using the Blackbeard product. So that's the
Hmm.
AR product in their rifle training. I don't quote me on that exactly, but it has made a significant difference. We initially had the Marines start with it, and now that I think the Army is using it as well. Law enforcement, we have some law enforcement departments using it. The struggle with law enforcement is they just don't get enough funding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
Well,
that's where,
defund the
again,
police. You know what I
we've
mean?
talked about that before on the podcast. Yeah,
exactly. And that's where
you
these
know,
grants, hey, if you're a department and you can't get what you need, fill out a grant. You might get awarded some product.
Mhm.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, I was at my local PD on, they had a lady self-defense course earlier this week. And so I took this in thinking they had seen it. They had not seen it. So
Hmm.
the trainer there was like, okay, you need to send me some flyers, but he's like, we probably need you to come in and show this to the police chief
Hmm.
because ultimately he makes the decision. But he's like, holy cow, because they're doing a Glock 47, which is
Hmm.
just I think the optics version of the 45. It's pretty
Hmm.
close, but it would match their holsters and everything. So they literally could train with a product that matches what they've got. So he was very very interested in seeing it. So, we see a lot of law enforcement come by. We have quite a few departments that use it, but I think again, unfortunately our law enforcement aren't given a lot of time either. And so in the training world, when I go to classes and see law enforcement there, they're generally there on their own time and their own dime. And
Yeah.
those are the, I wish we could pay and get the training for everybody. And I think if we could just get some of this Mantis into those law enforcement departments, we would definitely help some of those shooters there. But it's a money thing. It's a
Hmm.
money thing even with law enforcement. It's tough.
But it would be saving money on ammo, right?
You would think, I don't know budgets.
Yeah.
And And I'm not in law enforcement, but I have heard that even if you're in law enforcement, you don't get a ton for ammo budget. You know,
Mm.
it's not like they're handing out ammo every month to go
Yeah.
shoot with. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know the answer to that. All I know is it's disappointing, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And you would think, like, you know, they want to defund the police because of the mistakes they're making. So why don't you spend money to train them so
right.
they don't make those mistakes? But
Mhm.
Exactly. So it's a double-edged sword. It's hard, and you know, and unfortunately we pay for that, and when it comes to raising taxes to raise that money,
hmm
that gets a little ouchy for
Mhm.
us. But you know, I fully support that if that's what it takes to make our law enforcement better, because man, they've got a tough job. They just do. I
yeah.
respect
Mhm.
anybody who goes into that so highly. It's a tough job.
Mhm.
So, Kara, we're at an hour and 15 minutes. Do you want to keep going, or do you have anything else you want to talk
I think
about
we
the Mantis
covered the
products?
majority. I mean, if you guys have any more questions.
I
So,
think I think you sold me on the X10. I was gonna lean more towards the Titan because the G19. But
Yeah.
I think you sold me
it's
on the
hard. I will
X10.
tell you, it's a hard decision. And working the shows like the Great American Outdoor Show, and we'll be at NRA next week.
Hmm.
I was surprised because we had released the Titan in November, and I thought we were going to sell more Titans, but at the shows, I think people kind of did that way and went, unless they were really, focusing on one thing, and they wanted that dry fire product, then they went with the Titan. But we actually sold, we see a lot of still people buy that X10, and again, I still gravitate towards it just because I don't have a Titan that matches what I shoot.
Yeah.
But
hmm
if you're doing rifle, if you're doing shotgun, if you're doing archery, man, it's hard to beat the X10. It's
Yeah.
really hard to beat it.
I throw at least 100 arrows down my backyard a week. Just trying to keep up with it, get ready for deer season. Hunting, and then I'm trying to get back into shotgun because I missed duck season this year. So just for hunting, it'd be great, and then also being able to use that for my pistol. And I'm getting my wife into shooting, so being able to take it from mine and put it onto
Put it
hers.
on hers, absolutely. And she has a separate account for free, and that's where that groups app. You guys could create a group, just the two of you, and you
Mm-hmm.
could kind of, play
Compete.
off of that each other too. So there's
Yeah.
there's no bounds to that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully my wife will let me buy one before we're having a baby, so hopefully my wife will
Oh
let me buy
well,
one.
okay. So yeah, that's
I
tough.
might
That's
I might
tough.
need that grant money.
I'm writing a grant because I'm baby poor. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
baby's gonna be your Father's Day present, your birthday present, your anniversary present,
Christmas.
and
Christmas,
Christmas.
yep.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
cover everything, dude.
Yeah. So if y'all are giving out grants for that, I'll train my kids. I'll train my kids if that counts.
I love it. I love it.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, Kara, thank you so much for coming
Yes.
on.
A
All
wealth
the
of
questions
knowledge.
that, yeah, all the questions I had about the Mantis, particularly the Titan X, you hit, and especially because it's optic ready. That is a great thing because ever since I went to a red dot, if
Yep.
I pick up irons, I'm like, oh my god. Unless it's Austin's G19, I don't know why, but I shoot amazing with that thing. So thank you so much for coming on. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Again, mantisx.com. We're on Facebook, uh, Mantis Tech on Instagram, I believe. Reach out. You can find us there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly at kara@mantisx.com. I don't have a problem sharing my email address. Um, and you can buy our products out on mantisx.com. And we were back ordered on the Titans until 2 days ago. So since November, we've been back ordered. We are now in stock on the Titans. So get out there. If you've been waiting to buy a Titan, go out and snag it at this point. And then if you want to get involved with Train the World, it's traintheworld.org. We would love to have you jump on, fill out an interest form. If you've got a group, fill out that grant form. Um, And then join us in September. Press that trigger in September, whether you're using a Mantis product or you're not. Again, you're going to be able to, your shots will count. Penny a shot. So
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's awesome.
Yep.
Shout out to White Rambo too.
I
He
was about to
said,
say that.
Is he
yeah,
on? My dude.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
we
we
yeah.
we got to
Love
show
White
him on
Rambo.
screen.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always on. We appreciate you, White
Yeah.
Rambo.
Yeah.
You're going to be on May 1st, so we'll see you then, bud. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching,
Mhm.
and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yep.
Yep, thank
thank
you.
you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being
Always a
on.
pleasure.